when you enter the field of coffee, it kind of becomes like no direction, no space, don't know where to go, all those things. But there are few things that you need to remember and understand that you gotta do if you want to stick around and grow in coffee. First point I would say is being consistent every day. I think that goes for every field, of course. But in coffee per se, when I say being consistent every day, what I mean by that is keep stretching the boundaries a little bit every day. For example, if you join, it's your first day, first week, or you want to enter the coffee world, you'll start buying different coffees, different equipment. Sure, that's all good, all positive direction. But you will today or tomorrow or within few days hit a roadblock as to saying, where am I heading? To beat that thing, you need to understand that the reason you're tasting coffee is to understand the variables in coffee. It could be as simple as a roasting profile or temperature and all those things. But the most important point is you gotta be consistent in cupping the coffees every day. You need to cup the coffee every single day. This must be like the 10th video that I must be saying that you need to cup every day. It is for a reason. It's almost like cupping is like the root, and then comes roasting, brewing and latte art or whatever. But your base is going to be cupping. So you got to cup every single day. No negotiation on that. So be consistent in that. So when I got into coffee back in 2015, I knew one thing that I was actually worried about one thing, that if I don't cup every day, I may not understand what coffee is. So from 2015, the day I joined, got into coffee, from that day to the next 2 years, I cupped every single day. There was literally no day, probably one day that I did not cup. And cupping need not be an entire ritual. It need not be like an entire glamour show. You can just keep one cup and keep tasting and then having your notes written and all. That's how that's what worked for me. It is not the only way or the best way, but it is definitely one of the most important ways. Okay, so this is a very important point. You should have the pull for information rather than wait for somebody to give it out to you. You take one step, there will be 10 steps taken ahead, but you need to have the pull towards understanding the coffee. And understanding coffee is just not limited to brewing different coffees and tasting different coffees in a pour over or aeropress or making a latte art. It's a cumulative of a lot of other things and these things together. So you need to ask the questions. Like, I want to know, I want to have these conversations where people start asking, hey, what is the development time of this coffee, or what is the refractometer reading on this coffee, and all those subtle nuances. There are a lot of people who are basically home brewers and who are doing all these things. I know one person in particular because the conversation I have with him are incredibly amazing and extraordinarily fun. But if you want to make career in coffee, this has to be there, that you need to have the pull for information, pull for the knowledge, pull for the... Don't wait for anything. So if let's say you're working in a specialty coffee shop or a specialty roastery where you want to get educated and learning in that, your learning cannot be during your shift timings. Sorry to say that and burst the bubble on that. Your learning is what you do before the shift, what you do after the shift, because during the shift we are here for customers. We are only here for customers. Remember that. The customers should not, would not and will not care about what extractions and what kind of readings are you doing behind the bar, but they just want good customer service and good coffee. How you got it is not their concern. So if you want to really genuinely learn, it is before the shift that you come and do all the jazz that you can, tasting, brewing, roasting, cupping, all those things, and after the shift or both, right? So that is what is very, very important. That worked for me also. I never went home. I remember that. I literally must have gone home for just probably 6 hours at the max, but I used to spend more time at the roastery and doing the roles that was not even allocated to me, but it was something which I wanted to learn. So it was a pull. It was not a push that you have to do this, you have to do that. After a point of time, it is always going to be about pull. So that's very, very important. I'll give you an example apart from coffee that I gave Sarang right now. That if you want to be a videographer, be into photography, if you want to be, let's say, a drummer, let's say, all right. So the most annoying and the most boring and the tedious part is the packing up the entire stuff. Now, if you say that I don't want to do that because I have to do that every day, then you're not made for that. Don't get into that, right? Don't get into photography or videography. Or if you want to be a drummer, and if you say I'm the last to leave and I have to pack up everything and it takes me hours to go, don't get into drumming, that's for sure. Similarly, in coffee, if you feel that every day is going to be new and there'll be some tasks that become autopilot, that's not for you. You need to understand there will be redundancy in the work that you do. Some of the parts of the work that you do every day, you have to do the same thing again and again and again and again, but there's no negotiation on that. You have to do it. You cannot get bored of it, so that is something that you need to understand that is going to stick with you today, tomorrow, and for a very long period of time. So make peace with it. Yeah, actually there's no escaping the shit that you have to do at work. You have to do. You gotta do what you gotta do. If you have the golden opportunity to work at a specialty coffee shop where there is a roastery also, and where there is open freedom to taste and cup and do whatever you want, make sure that you make the most of it and work in every freaking department. There is not going to be any restriction whatsoever. Make sure you try to work at as many places and try understanding and try to grow in the organization in such a way that you've given everything. That's something which is very important. You cannot just say that today I am going to be on the manual bar or I am just supposed to be doing this. Work in every goddamn department and ask the right questions and move toward the right direction rather than somebody pushing you. So make the most of it. That's very, very important. So when I started off, I started working with I used to roast, and then I used to hop behind the bar once the roasting is done. I started off by making poros for the team, then I started making poros for the customers. Then I started getting into the customer service side of things, and I started learning from the ladies who used to clean the green beans. Started spending time with them, spend a lot of time with them actually, understanding how it can be done, what is to be done, started reading that practically. So that actually helped me a lot. You cannot restrict yourself towards one department and say, you know what, this is my job or this is my role. No, you got to expose yourself at every department, and also important is that you bring value addition to the company, or else you're just spending time and doing nothing and creating a lot of confusion. Bring value, bring out more ideas, bring out more value addition to the brand or anywhere in fact you're working. That's something which is very appreciated always. So that is what I realized early on, and that's what worked for me also. You need to genuinely know about coffee. So when I say genuinely know about coffee, what I mean is that you got to ask yourself honestly, is it enough what you know? Alright, is it enough what you know if you are, say, at an international coffee event, right, where these champions are there and all these brewing roaster championships are there, equipment manufacturers are there, software developers are there who are developing software for coffee roasting. Is it enough what you know? Just try to put yourself in that place, and I think you'll find the answer. And more often than not, what I've seen is what I call as a balcony player. You know what a balcony player is? That when so I used to play badminton earlier, and balcony player is somebody who plays for the applause from the balcony. Right now, in no way am I trying to put anybody down or something like that, but somebody who will just dive in to pick up a smash or dribble or something like that in badminton, just dive for the sake of it. That's being balcony applause player, playing for the balcony applause, I would say. Similarly, coffee is right now picking up. You'll see a lot of people who are in it not because of passion, but because of fashion. The last and the most important point is the community development in any spectrum, in any field, right? So when you talk about coffee, the more people are there in coffee and the more people know about coffee, intrinsic stuff about it, our average information bank and all these things will increase. So what I genuinely believe is, for every one Olympic gold medalist, there are other 10,000 people who could not do it, but that person won the Olympic gold medal because there were, prior to that, a lot of other people who have tried it. They pushed the average above, they pushed the bar above, they raised the bar above, and then finally this one person could break through and win the championship. I don't know if it makes sense, but what I'm trying to say is that we all as a coffee community need to be getting educated in the right way, ask the right questions in the right way, know more information about these minute little things, of as minute as, you know, what is the espresso machine boiler made of, what is the spout like, what is the roaster probe like, what is the varietal in coffee, how does that affect. All these things are something which is very important, and the more we know about these things, it will become a common language for all of us to speak on this as a base level, and then we can start climbing up. I know a lot of people, a lot of coffee communities globally. I know a lot of coffee companies globally who basically have got their average or the culture around them and so many people to talk around them so high that now the guests come with the refractometers at the cafe bar and say, hey, can you just tell me what the reading of this coffee is? So I'm not sure if have been able to explain this thoroughly or properly, but we need to be getting more coffee educated. And I don't like the word coffee geek or coffee nerd or coffee holic or coffee addict. I think this is just knowledgeable coffee person. So that is what we need to become. So that's very important.